Hello there, friends, and welcome back to another episode of Football Manager Therapy. I'm your host, Rich Owens, and joining me this morning, we have 2/3 of the FM team. Thanks to Ryanair, Jeb-less couldn't make it today. Boo Ryanair, boo them immediately. But we have got the United City FM, and we've got Callum Kev. How are you this morning, pal?
Please get it right, everyone. Don't boo me. I can't cope with it. But boo Ryanair, absolutely. Jeb's had a pretty awful time over the last 24 hours. So bless him for that. I'm doing really well. Thank you, Rich. I'm happy to be here. It's a Sunday morning. The sun is shining. I get to see you two lovely, lovely fellas. And we're going to talk Football Manager. What could possibly go wrong? Let's do this.
Surprisingly little could go wrong. Well streamlined. I think streamlined is a word we can potentially start to throw around involving pod. No, we can't. We absolutely can't. It's an absolute mess. It's an absolute mess behind the scenes, but it's fine. You don't have to experience any of that. Speaking the opposite of a mess behind the scenes. Callum, how are you this morning, pal?
I'm wonderful, thanks, Rich. I'm in a really good mood this morning. As Kev said, what could be better? It's a Sunday morning and we're going to talk about Football Manager, so it's a great time. How are you, Rich?
How am I? Thank you for asking me. I'm all right, actually, pal. I'm all right. I had to stop and think about it there for a second because I always do. If anybody ever asks me how I am, and I'd say, yeah, I'm good. Too quickly, they're suspicious. So no, I am well. I am very, very well. I'm currently dog sitting for my dad, which not this exact second. There's no dog in here, but I'm walking a dog on a regular basis.
I was going to say, has he got a dog? Are you sure?
Not 100% sure. It's just him dressed as a dog. It's a weird thing that he does every now and then. But no, having a lovely time, taking a really excited dog for about 1 million walks a day. He likes a 60-mile hike before breakfast. It's exhausting. It really is. But happy to be here this morning. Happy to be here. Lads, we've got a full docket to work through today. We have got an itinerary. We have got bits and pieces to do. And where better to start this week's episode than with one of our patented Football Manager Therapy save updates. Because we love a save update, because we're all working hard behind the scenes. We'd be grafting, we'd be streaming, we'd be creating that content for you, the consumer. And it's all going quite well for some of us.
Yeah, I only did one last week, though. I haven't really done enough since then. I mean, I can tell you that I got through a bit of a pre-season if you want.
I tell you, should we talk to Callum? Callum, I think. This guy. Look. This guy, right, with the pointing's back. Sorry, audio listeners, we're all pointing again. Visual comedy doesn't really work well in an audio setting, but we're
I thought it was some of our best work, personally, but okay, not a problem.
We're pioneering it. By episode 200, just the weird silences in the podcast are going to be people's favourites. Callum, I'd like to ask you on behalf of the entire audience and wider FM community, how's it going, mate?
Excellent. Well done, Rich. Well done.
Thank you very much.
Superb work. The podcast has peaked. It's going great, thanks. And obviously, my journey with Slough has continued over the last few weeks. Last time I think I properly spoke about it, we'd just been promoted from the Vanarama National into the Football League. And as anybody knows, going into the Football League can be a very interesting journey for a club that's been stuck in non-league for 8 years, I think it was. So we got promoted, and inevitably, despite the expert transfer business I did in the summer transfer window, we were still predicted to finish 24th. And I sort of looked across my squad, and it was very confusing because every time I clicked on one of my players, it kept saying good for Vanarama National. Decent for Vanarama National, leading Vanarama National North and South. I was like, is my squad not very good? Like, I think there's a chance that I've not done very well here. But I thought, you know what? No, I'm off back-to-back promotions. I've got to believe in myself here. We did bring in a couple of players for sort of double the wage of anyone else in the squad. One of which was a man called Dave Lloyd, who we actually had for a season in the Vanarama South. And then I sold for the big money to Bristol City for £195,000. Basically, Dave Lloyd kept us going for 2 years. I know. It was big money. And you're not going to believe it. I've only gone and bought him back. I got him for a free. His contract's run out. Now, when he was in the Vanarama South, we joked that he was the Welsh Messi. I don't know why we joked that. He's left-footed. He's an attacking mid. He's not that good, but we always joked he's the Welsh Messi. So we brought him back and immediately renamed him Lionel Lloyd because, you know, why not? Gave him the captain's armband. You know, thought this is the dream. He had quite a poor season, but let's not talk about that. So my season predicted to finish 24th. We had our stalwarts who had taken us through non-league were just not quite at the races to be able to compete in League Two, which is always a sad moment when you've got these players. One in particular, Slough's now all-time top goal scorer, Harry Smith. He actually retired at the end of the year, sadly. But he retired with 153 goals to his name. We've now signed him as a scout because you have to legally. Mm-hmm. If you've had a player, you have to get them in there. And that you know, judging player ability of 5 and potential of 5 is really going to come in handy going forward. Thank you so much, Harry. But yeah, so we had what I would describe as an incredibly mundane season, and that is great. It's really good. It's really good because when you're predicted to finish 24th, if you have a mundane season, it probably means you haven't finished 24th. And we didn't. We didn't finish 24th. We actually finished in the dizzy heights of 18th. I mean, that's management. That's management.
Wow. That's it.
Could you have asked for anything more? Well, yes, actually, you could have. You could have asked for anything above 18th, but we finished above some teams, and we also finished about 26 points clear of the relegation zone in 18th. It seems like a lot of points considering we were in 18th, but yeah. So we had mundane is the best way of describing it. Basically, we were clear of relegation. I would say maybe after about 20 games, it became quite obvious we weren't going to get relegated, because when you're in the League Two, after having the trials and tribulations of 1 automatic promotion place in non-league and potentially up to 3 relegation spots, so suddenly go into a league where you've only got 2 go down and you've got 3 automatic promotion places and 4 playoff positions, it's a very, very different animal. It is a very, very different animal to go into League Two, as so many people will have experienced. And my chat have reminded me on a few occasions that I said on many occasions that League Two is really easy and we probably will get promoted. I did not. Wow. I did not get promoted. But it was really interesting because the reason we finished 18th was we couldn't really score. Our goalkeeper finished with the 3rd most clean sheets in the league, which is very impressive. Caleb Anson, I don't know whether he's a keeper that anyone has experienced of our listeners, and I'd be really intrigued to see if you have. If you haven't, he's 6'6". He's Italian. He's from Norwich's youth system. He's absolutely sensational. Like he's probably the best signing I've made. And I've also signed our all-time top goal scorer, and I'm saying he's better. So he's a very, very good goalkeeper because the defense in front of him is okay at best. I think is probably the nicest way of putting it. I've got a left back called Lemon, which obviously, as you can imagine, we all love Cenk Lemon. He's Jamaican. I mean, it's brilliant. And Cenk Lemon. But yeah, the defense isn't the best. It's not the best. And we also didn't score a lot of goals. We finished with -1 goal difference. So in the summer transfer window, that's my aim. It's let's buy some goals, shall we? That'll be nice. Let's buy some goals. Yeah. Harry Smith can't score goals because now he's a scout. So that's the main look. But there was a big moment in my season where it all changed. And it was, we basically started the season, and I say we were safe after about 20 games, I would say. After about 12 games, we had won 1 fixture. We'd won 1 game of football. I think we had lost at that point 9 or 10 and drawn 1 or 2. We were basically in the mire. We were bottom of the league, and we were not in a good way at all. And then I changed something, chaps. With the help of my knowledgeable chat, this is a segue. I went into the training screen. Now, I'd like to know, before I go any further, I'd like to know, What are your experiences with training, chaps? Because I'm intrigued.
Yeah. So training is terrifying, if I'm honest with you. Training scares me. Training really, really scares me when it comes to FM because my experience with it is so limited, so incredibly limited, to the point where I say limited. When you set up a new save or you join a new club, when it gives you that really, really helpful screen, it's like, oh, look, this is our training setup. How do you want to organize this? My assistant manager just does it all for me. My assistant manager does everything. I click assistant, assign to assistant manager, and then I sit back and then just try not to think about it for the rest of the save. That is my experience. It's one of those things, parts of FM where, considering the obscene amount of time that I think most people listening to this podcast will have spent playing Football Manager, the fact that I have never even attempted my own training schedules is just baffling to me, because it seems like the kind of thing that surely at this point you must have done. No, never even gone close to it, because I think I have that much fear in, I'm a little bit superstitious when it comes to my saves. I'm a little bit superstitious, and I don't want to do anything that may negatively impact one of my saves. And I just have this horrible feeling where, even if I'm like, oh, we've just got battered 6-0 5 games in a row, maybe I want to put a bit of team bonding in there, just to just try and level it out. Or maybe we'll sit back and we'll review the last match. Even doing that frightens me. So my experience with training is zero, if I'm completely honest with you, pal. Kev, I know you've mentioned before you've dabbled in a training schedule. Talk to us, mate. How did that work out for you?
So sometimes when you're recording a podcast and you're listening to other people chat and you know that you've got to contribute, sometimes you have a bit of an epiphany. And actually, I've just had one, to be honest. I know it's painful. I'm glad I'm sitting down. But so my current experience of training is that I don't currently do it. My assistant does. I attempted to do it in FM22 and it went very badly. I got that message of all of your players are upset with the balance of your training and the blah, 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 and the such like. So I switched it back off again and went, nope, I can't do it. It's just too difficult. Here's my epiphany. I used to do it. I've only just really realized this. I've been playing Football Manager, Championship Manager for a very long time, 28, 29 years, whatever it is, since the first iteration of Championship Manager. I can't remember when it actually came out. But I used to do it. I used to do mentoring groups. I used to put them all together in different setups. I used to do the training programs, all sorts of stuff. And I think what has done me in is my utter joy of streaming has changed how I play the game, as we talked about last week. And it really has. And I'm sitting here thinking, so as a way to show that, there was a few years ago where, for those that are new to the podcast, I have various health issues connected to my disability. And a few years ago, quite a number of years ago, there was a couple of year period where I was quite housebound through various health issues. And I was playing Football Manager as a way to basically just get me through my days when my wife was out at work and I was home on my own, basically couldn't really do much. I was infirm a little bit. So I was playing Football Manager. I played a couple of 1,000 hours on a particular version of Football Manager just because, and had a great time. And I was doing everything that I could do within the game pretty much at that moment. And now I stream, and this iteration of FM, which at the moment I'm not having as much enjoyment from as I would have liked to, but I've only got, I say only as a content creator, I've only got about 500 hours in game this season, iteration.
Only 500?
I know.
Kev.
But when you're looking back a decade ago that I used to play 2,000 every year, and I'm not going to get anywhere near that this time round. If I double it to 1,000, I'll be quite lucky, I think, this time round in how I'm playing it and what I'm doing, because I'm purely using it for my streaming and I want to keep it fresh for there. And I don't do an awful lot other than some drafts and other bits and pieces away from that. So, and we talked about last week the fact that my streaming has changed how I play the game. So my current thing is, I don't do training. I tried last iteration. It didn't quite work for me. I probably, here's the rub. right? Callum has just told us that he's succeeded through training. Richard says he doesn't do training. I'm telling you, I tried to do training and it didn't work. Only one of those has actually put the proper amount of time into training and figured it out and made it work, because it can work. It's part of the game and lots of people use it. The rest of us that are not doing it just haven't figured out how to do it yet, for whatever reason that might be. And that's the situation I'm in at the moment. It baffles me. I don't know why it didn't work for me last time. And at the moment, I can't bring myself to do it. Although I have been thinking about that this week since last week's pod. So who knows?
Can I say as well, I just talking about content creation in general around Football Manager, as you've touched upon there, Kev. I don't know whether I've seen many content creators just within their save, can I say? Now, I know there's lots of training videos, but if someone doesn't do training, the last video they're going to click on is go, you know what I want to watch? I want to watch someone talk for 20 minutes about training in FM, because I'm not interested in it. So why would I click on it? However, you're talking, your big YouTubers, when they're doing their Let's Play saves, are we seeing their training? No, we're not really. We're seeing their games. We're seeing their transfers. We're not seeing that aspect of the game. So why would people do it? Why would people do it if the content they're consuming is not showing it? So I think, you know what I'm going to say? I think we need to be the pioneers of this new generation of FM. I think the three of us, and we'll get Jeb involved as well, because he's one of us. I think we need to start. I think we need to be the ones. And people go, you know what? I never used training, never used it. And then I listened to an episode of FMT. and
I still don't.
And I still don't.
But they gave it a go.
They tried their best. I mean, I think it's really interesting, just because I mean, I feel like I'm being a bit of a hypocrite, I'll be honest with you, because I've never really used training until literally this season in my save. I did exactly what Rich did. I'd go on to the game, I'd go, that's a lovely tutorial on training you've just shown me for the 8th season in a row. Great. Skip. Assistant, you're going to do this for the 1,000 hours I'm going to play at this game. However, if things are going wrong, what do we do? So if you're on a big losing streak, how do you try and rectify that? Now, I agree. I think I did the same as Rich in the sense of you chuck a team bonding in there. You go, oh, they're not friends now because they keep losing. The dynamics are dropping. They need to go and play Laser Quest. That's what they need to do. They need to play Laser Quest. They need to go bowling. They need to have a lovely time, on a Sunday afternoon, and then they'll be friends again and they'll start scoring goals and winning games. What do we do? What do we do to sort of change form, I suppose?
I can tell you what I've done recently. It didn't work, by the way. It went really badly. But what I did recently was moan about the game.
Yeah.
Seriously, that's what I did. I lost interest for a little while, a week or so ago, with just the thought that I couldn't quite figure it out and things were going against me. And as a streamer, I just kind of went, the game is terrible. It's not. Yeah. It's a fine game with a lot of good things to it, but I lost the way. So yeah, what do we do? I mean, I'm really reticent to what do I want to say? So I have a particular structure of play that I'm using currently. It won me the Ukrainian league. It won me the Romanian league eventually. I started doing something different in Hungary in the first season. It didn't work, so I switched back to it and saw a bit of progress, and then it kind of went south. But I'm really reticent to change it. I've just been through the last couple of streams was building up for season number 3 in Hungary. And I have had that internal conversation with myself and with my chat on Friday afternoon last time I streamed. Do I change my setup and buy in the summer for a new setup? Or do I keep it as it is sort of and tweak it because it was sort of working and then we got injuries and other things? In the end, I kept it. Mostly, I changed the style of play. I didn't change the actual formation itself. I think I've done okay to bring new players in, but that's kind of my roadblock a little bit. I'm reticent to change what I know has worked, and kind of I convinced myself should work. And there's no should about it. Sometimes it just doesn't. So yeah.
But could you not create training to complement it rather than change it, but to complement it? So if, for example, If you're a team that is playing a counter-attacking system, get counter-attacking in your training. I think, if you've got a big man in the middle, make sure you're practicing set pieces, make sure you're practicing, aerial defense, that sort of thing, like have things that are related to the way you play. Because let's face it, this is a game about football management. If a real life football manager had lost 5 games in a row, what's he going to do? He's going to change the way he does it in training. He's going to go, right, we're conceding too many goals from corners. We are going to do loads of training around corners, defending corners. Our strikers aren't putting the ball away. We're going to do loads of finishing training, under pressure, first time finishing. That's what you're going to do. I honestly think training puts a little bit more realism into the game, and a game that people are criticizing quite a bit at the moment, like being quite vocal in social media. I think it could make it more engaging. I think, it's all well and good putting, a player on shoot more often in your tactics screen. But at the end of the day, if he's on a goal drought and it's not happening for him, maybe what you need to be doing is adding chance conversion into your training. You need to add these things in. So you're specifically going, you're not converting chances. So what we're going to do every single Monday afternoon is we're going to practice chance conversion. You're going to be putting the ball in the back of the net by the end of this month, because that's what we're training. And I think as a concept, I think it's a very, very criminally underused thing. I think I tried to talk to my Discord about it, and I tried to talk to my chat about, what do you do? Because it's all well and good me sitting high and mighty going, I'm the streamer, this is how I do it. How do all of you do it? Most of them said they don't. Most of them said they don't do it. They just use their assistant. However, someone like Gavin Brash, for example, who I spoke to, he said he uses a lot of RDF's training tactics, because obviously there are loads out there if you want to download them. I don't doubt that they're great, and they're probably far better than I could do. However, I find it fun. I find it fun that I can specifically go, as I say, certain aspects of the way I'm playing isn't working. So how can I change this? For example, I talked then about the fact that we haven't scored enough goals this season. So I'm going to make a specific training schedule for scoring goals. We're going to have a very attack orientated. If we've, spent the last 3 games not scoring a goal, or my strikers aren't firing, that's the way to do it. That's how football managers would do it, isn't it, in real life?
It really is, yeah. And it sounds daft when you put it like that. That's not the way that I've ever approached it before. And when you articulate it like that, I'm just sat here thinking to myself, well, why not? Because it makes a lot of sense. It does make a lot of sense. I think I very naively hoped that, using the example of, for example, conceding goals from corners, which had I ever managed in Mexico in this version of FM, is something that would probably have happened to me quite a lot, which would probably have made me really cross. So it's a good job that never happened. But if that had happened, hypothetically speaking, and I had a save in Mexico where I was conceding the majority of my goals from set pieces, I would very naively hope that my assistant manager would recognize that, and then that would be something they would incorporate into the training. But because I'm so completely removed from that aspect of the game, you just sit there and hope to yourself, well, this is probably happening. The only thing that I really pay any attention to when it comes to the training side of things is I look at the tactical familiarity that you see when you're setting your match day squad. And for context, for example, I've just started a new streaming save, the Scandinavian Triple Crown with Odds Ball Club. Because it's a limited squad, when I've set that team up, I've kind of set up a formation that had good experiences, but I want to try something new. As Callum was saying earlier, I'm being the change that I want to see in the FM in stream when it comes to streaming. I'm doing all these things. I've done a whole pre-season on stream, which normally I would skip, and I had a great time doing it as well. So I'm learning, and the audience are learning with me. Train, it seems like the kind of thing that there is time to do. Like, I've set this odds team up, the formation and the instructions we use, because it's not a huge team, suit the players that we have. And it makes sense to set the team up like that. And training wise as well, it would make a huge amount of sense to set up the training regime to complement the style of play that I'm trying to set up with the new formation. I mean, I'm setting it up, I'm going into games and I'm saying, okay, tactical familiarity is already there or thereabouts, because I'm not trying to play anybody out of position. It's so it seems to make sense. And also there aren't many instructions on the tactic as well. It's a very, very simple 4-3-3. So because there aren't a huge amount of instructions and it's all set up quite simply, the players understand it quicker. So I'm looking at that tactical familiarity and I'm going, oh, okay, they're there or thereabouts already. This is fine. Don't need to worry about it. But maybe I do. Maybe I do. I'm going to make a commitment now. I'm going to say it. It's on pod. It's there for people to reference back to. Next time I stream my Scandi Triple Crown, I'm going to designate some time and I'm going to set up a training schedule. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And then it's all going to fall apart around me and it's going to crumble. I'm going to be really sad. And I'm going to bin off yet another Football Manager save.
No, you're not. It's going to go great, Rich. It's going to go great.
I'm really not. I'm really not. No, I'm going to go through the standard Rich Owens learning experience, which is identifying something I want to learn how to do, spending a good 6 months panicking about the process of learning it, because that's how a lot of the time neurodiverse brains work, and mine is no exception to that. Panic about the concept of having to learn a new thing and not understanding it, actually attempting the new thing, finding that it's really, really, really straightforward, 15 minutes in, feel really, really comfortable with it, and most importantly, I think, learn nothing from that entire experience. So that is my commitment. Next Odds Ball Club save, soz everybody, you're going to sit through a middle-aged man panicking over how to set up a training schedule, but it's going to be fine because, as you say, rely on people that know better than you. I'm going to rely on my chat because my chat are significantly more knowledgeable about the game than I am. So there you go. That is my commitment, and you can hold me to that. Because what's the worst thing that happens if I don't do it? I'm going to get beaten up by an ex-WWE wrestler or something.
That will never happen.
That'll never. Oh God, that's going to happen, and I'm terrified. But yeah, so there you go. That's my commitment to the bit.
Okay, question for you both, and then I will potentially add myself to the commitment as well, but we'll see. Steady, Callum, steady. So my question is, who was the very first content creator you watched in any form play Football Manager?
For me, it was Lelujo. I watched a lot of Lelujo because I feel like he played in the same way that I played it in, trying to create narratives, however, stripping back the game a lot. That I think that is something that Kev is really good at doing. I think he's very much, here's your game, here's your transfers, off you go. And I think that is the way a lot of people play the game. I think you do your tactics. I think you buy your players. And do you do an awful lot outside of that? You know, there's so many things on that tab on the side of it. How many of them are you clicking? But I think, yeah, for me, it was definitely Lelujo that I started.
Okay, Rich?
Looking back, I would say probably Loki Doki. I'd say, yeah, I think that was the first kind of FM content creator that really stood out to me. And I think before kind of, streaming or before kind of, content creation was a thing that I even considered, his was probably the content that I checked out the most. And then again, people, as you say, Callum, probably people like Kev, like Lelujo, for example, they were also up there.
Okay, so mine was Dr. Benji several years ago now, 4 or 5 years ago, whatever it was. There is a common theme to all of those, other than that they're all just very successful and doing great and are really fantastic content creators. That they all do YouTube. Do any of you two do YouTube?
I do not.
Are we trying to play the game on a stream like we've seen YouTubers play them, who have got a 10 to 15 minute time slot that they can only do X amount of things in just to figure out how we actually get something that's going to be consumable within 10 minutes and then walk away on our journey? Is that what we're doing? Because that's what I'm doing. I started watching Dr. Benji. I then spent 3.5 years being a YouTuber, and I had 15 minutes to fill. I put 1 or 2 games in there. We didn't talk about too much other than where we are, where we're heading, what we're attempting to do. And then next time we came back and did the same thing, because that's what worked on the YouTube. If you're not going to do the tutorial thing or the experiment thing as your videos, if you're playing the game on YouTube, I'm not a YouTuber anymore. I'm a streamer. And I think, okay, you'll hear me say this very, very rarely, so get the recordings out and all that kind of stuff. I think I'm actually quite good at it. but I'm not good at it if I try and be a YouTuber on streaming and forget actually why I think I'm quite good at it is just about being with people and community and chatting to people and encouraging them to feel part of what we're doing and all that kind of stuff. It's got nothing to do with the game, but I let the game dictate to me so much. And the reason that it's dictated to me so much is because I'm in the space of I have to do what I've seen people do, and what they've done is be a YouTuber. But I ain't a blooming YouTuber. I'm a streamer, and now I can do training and I can do mentoring groups and I can do data hubs, which I've been trying to do a little bit this last week. That's one of the things I've tried this last week since our last pod is data hub. How am I using it? My brain likes that kind of thing, and I haven't been looking at it because I'm so focused on I've got to get through my 5 games in my stream in my 2 hours and keep us moving forward, because otherwise by October we'll still be in Hungary and we won't have moved anywhere because I haven't given it the time to do. It's rubbish. There's plenty of time. I've got to play the game, but I'm not a YouTuber. I'm a streamer. It's an epiphany again. You see, I'm having epiphanies all over the place.
I that for me was an epiphany as well. Like, you're completely right, Kev. Like, that is exactly what's happening. Because do we think that in between those, those 15-minute episodes, when they do one in August and then the next one you see is in October, they've just literally clicked continue and played with the game? Of course not. They're doing everything behind the scenes, aren't they? They're doing the stuff, the contract negotiations, the training, the data stuff. They're doing all of that, but they're not doing it on the same, because as you say, on a YouTube video, what do you want to see? You want to see the games. You want to see, here's your first game. Oh my goodness, we lost. Here's our second game. We won that one. Brilliant. See you next week for the next one. And that's how, and I agree with you. I think that's exactly how we stream. I think we're just doing the games, aren't we? But instead of doing it for 15 minutes, we're doing it for 2 hours. And whereas, should we be going more in depth in the game, and ultimately it could, now dare I say this, it could make it more fun. It could make it more fun. Can you imagine if you start training maybe like defensive free kicks, and then you go the whole season without conceding a free kick? Like, wait a second. Did I do that? Did I? Is that because I clicked that button and it's happened? Like your striker's on a goal track. You do a load of striking training. He scores at the weekend. I didn't just say to him, "You really need to pick up your game. You're on a goal drought," but I still have faith in you. You didn't just do that talk, which we do every time a striker's on a goal drought. We actually did so. I don't know. I think it could potentially make it more immersive and more engaging as a game. Potentially.
Absolutely. I think the one thing that we all need to consider is that in terms of the content that we have chosen to create, the space that we've chosen to occupy in terms of content creation, is based around one of the most intricate games out there. That, for my money, there aren't a larger amount of games with a higher level of just minutiae and intricacy than there are Football Manager, because there is so much that you can do and have to do. And I think because people expect action, people expect, you just automatically assume that people are going to be there because they want gameplay, they want goals, they want action, they want excitement. People are choosing to watch Football Manager because people like Football Manager, and it's that's not happening to them by accident. It's not like, oh, I'm going to watch I'm going to watch somebody streaming Warzone today. Oh, I've accidentally clicked on this guy called Rich Owens, and he's talking about Scandinavian football. Oh no, I'll just stay and watch for a bit, but this probably isn't my thing. People have purposefully clicked on that because they're like, oh yeah, this is the kind of thing that I'm into. And as we talked about last week, if they're into Football Manager, they're probably going to have levels of interest in this kind of thing. I love that YouTube analogy. I absolutely adore that
too.
because and again, I've watched people, there are some people I watch stream games that aren't FM based. And then I'll see those people then upload kind of highlights of their streams, or in some cases, just entirety of their streams to YouTube. But the games that they're playing allow them to do that. They can play the game fully because there isn't as much to do as there is on a game like Football Manager. Kev and I have had quite a lot of chats in just over the last few months in each other's streams over games. The Borderlands series, for example. I adore Borderlands. Borderlands is
Me too.
wonderful.
Great game. Great game.
Shout out. There's absolutely zero chance that they're involved in this in any way, shape, or form, but there's a wonderful streamer I absolutely adore. His name is Jolts. Jolts Dude. He makes amazing Borderlands content. And then I really, really enjoy watching his kind of daily updates from his Borderlands saves that then uploads to YouTube. But when you watch one of his YouTube videos, you know that you're not missing out on hours and hours and hours of additional content that's gone on behind the scenes. You can watch one of his videos, you can watch highlights of one of his playthroughs, you can get an understanding of everything that he's been doing, and you don't feel like you're missing out on loads of stuff. Football Manager, complete flip side of that coin. 20 minutes of somebody's save, has equated to that 20-minute video that they've put out, that has come from 6 or 7 hours worth of gameplay. And all those things behind the scenes that you're missing out on, you forget to do when you're creating content yourself, especially when you're streaming it live to an audience. So I am with the two of you. Let's bring it back. Let's pioneer training schedules. Let's pioneer the data hub. Let's get stuck in to all of these things because they are in the game to help us. I think that's the most important thing. None of these features are included in the game to hinder the player. So I think let's take it.
Couple of other thoughts
onto ourselves.
I've got a couple of other thoughts.
Go on,
okay,
Kev.
so my couple of other thoughts is shout out to How We Roll Owen, who since last episode put a tweet out asking these questions about training. Who does it? Who doesn't? Why do we do it? What do we go? And what came out of his tweet thread was basically, however much the game is the thing that people type into Twitch to go and actually find somebody doing it, why are they watching Rich, or why are they watching Callum, or why are they watching myself? They're watching us because they get us as a personality type, it's that keeps us together as a community once they're in our chat. Because let's face it, if you're just going to go and watch the #1 FM streamer, you'll go and watch Zealand, and nobody else will get anything. If that's all you're interested in is just watching the #1 guy do it in the space, you'll just go and watch Zealand. But there's so many different intricacies of personality through the streaming setup that's why they come to us. So they come to us for our personality types and and how we see the game, or how we see the world and everything in it. So be you and do you, and whatever that looks like is a great thing. The other thing that I want to say is that just because you and myself, we started watching Lelujo, Loki Doki, Ben on their YouTubes and all that kind of stuff, the reason that we're not doing half of the game now is primarily because we've not allowed ourselves to, because we think I think that Ben can get away with doing these things because he's Ben, but I can't. I have to be something different because I just haven't allowed myself to just be free to play the game in the way that I want to play the game, or whatever it might be. So that's the other thing. And there was a third thing, but I can't remember what it was, so we'll move on.
Can I add a final point, just to sort of wrap up training, I suppose. With regards to, I've sort of touched a lot upon how your team plays. But I would love for people after this podcast, if you're listening, to go and have a look at what your assistant is making your team train as, because that was my first thing. Because I noticed that, we'd done a pre-season, we'd got 2 months into the season, and he was absolutely battering the lads with pre-season again. In the middle of the season, we're playing 2 games a week, and we kept picking up injuries. So I am someone who's really bad, and I don't know whether you two do this as well, but if especially in non-league, if you've played a game, click them all, rest for a day. Then they have their rest day, and then you go to play the next game, click them all, rest day. And I'm like, well, why are they getting injured? They've got a day off every time they've played a game. But that little recovery button within training can really, really prevent injuries, especially if you've had a hard week. Maybe you've played 2 fixtures, maybe you've even played 3 in a week. In that following week, you batter it with recovery, rest, team bonding, those sort of things, where those players then, the players who are very high injury risk suddenly drop to high, suddenly drop to medium, and then you're getting those players. So that starting 11, which is your strongest starting 11, through training, should, in theory, I can't stop broken legs, unfortunately, but, little torn, pulled muscles and stuff like that, it should hopefully prevent more so than if you're not doing it, because genuinely, have a look at what your assistant manager's doing. They're not doing a very good job. I don't really care who your assistant manager is. The default is not very it's not very good. So it is worth even giving it a go yourself, because believe it or not, and in 10 years' time, this might be an incorrect statement, you are probably more clever than the assistant manager AI on Football Manager. I'm going to give that to you. You right now listening to this, yes, you are more intelligent than a computer AI at the moment.
So, practical question then. So, Callum, you said that partway through this last season, you changed and you implemented training. Have you done have you done it in the sense of you decided to do training? So now your training is now set for infinitum, or do you go in weekly and go, I've just had a game, what do the next 3 days look like? Or do you do it in weekly blocks or monthly blocks? How do you actually put your training in?
So as it stands, I have two different setups. I have what's called 2-game week and Saturday game is my two setups that I have, which obviously they're self-explanatory, why I would use them within a week. Now, because I have taken full control of it, I can then adapt it. If I'm seeing a downturn in form, or I'm also just as much going in for injuries now. And it's really funny because it's a bit frustrating in a sense. You do have to set each week. So if for example, I've set a month's worth of training, if I then forget at the end of that month, it goes back to idiot assistant managers training, unfortunately. And it was a running joke in my chat that over the course of the season, we had genuinely, now you can see the differences in my season where it's like win, draw, loss, 2 injuries. And I was like, why is this happening? And it's like, more often than not, it went back to the assistant manager's training. And I was like, I can't believe the clear correlation between, I'm not saying my training got us wins every week, by the way. We finished 18th. I'm not sort of going, I am the Messiah. But at the same time, there was a clear correlation between better results, I'm not going to say wins, better results, and better fitness within the squad when it was my schedule. Now, obviously, my schedule isn't the be-all and end-all. It won't be the best thing going. It's just things that I picked that I felt would be beneficial for the way I play. But absolutely, I had periods where my centre forward was not scoring goals. So I then did adapt a couple of the sessions. I didn't try and go, right, I'm starting again. But I'd go, right, okay. I mean, I'm literally looking at them right now. We've got a teamwork one on a Thursday. Maybe I'll change that to an attacking. So we're focusing a little bit more. I've got in my 2-week game, I've got 2 recovery sessions. I've got about 5 rest sessions. I've got some days where I've got 3 sessions. I've got some days where I've got 1. And I've just tried to alternate it round to sort of accommodate to the games. But ultimately, it is something that I do think you can't just go, right, I've done it now, I'm just going to leave it for the season. Because first and foremost, if you haven't set it long enough, the assistant takes over again. And secondly, you might need to change. Things happen. You get injuries. These sort of things happen. You might have more games within a week, and you do need to alter it. But I don't. Once again, immersion. You're not going to go at the start of a season as an actual football manager go, you know what we're going to do this week? Corners, attacking corners. We're going to do defense, ground defense. We're going to do team bonding every single week. We're going to do bowling every week, lads. And we're also going to recover on a Tuesday. Are you ready for that? Brilliant. Because we're doing that for the next 52 weeks. I hope you're going to enjoy it. And by the 4th week of bowling, they're going to be sick of it, aren't they? Good Lord. But I think, I don't know. It's one of those moments. You said you've had epiphanies. I had the epiphany during this season of, why was I not doing this before? This is actually quite fun. It's actually quite fun to do. And even as a streamer, I should be brave and go, yes, it's not a game. It's not as exciting as a game, but people do enjoy watching it and enjoy being involved in it and having an input. And as Rich said, more often than not, their input is probably more valid than mine. So I go by theirs more than my own.
I've got one last epiphany for you.
Oh my god, another
just
one.
had.
Go nuts.
I've just been going nuts this morning.
What
I
a
don't know
pod,
what can I
what a
tell you.
pod.
Absolutely. So, as a YouTuber for 3.5 years, I was always looking for something to differentiate my videos to somebody else's, whatever that might be. A lot of people tended to put a couple of games into their videos. I tended to put one in mine because partway through the course of being a YouTuber, I thought I'd stumbled across a unique way of doing my videos, and that was to actually use the tools available to me in game to actually look back and analyze the game that we've just had. It was a section, there was even a transition screen that went to it, the analytical part, and actually look back at the game we just played. Why did it work? Why didn't it work? What did I do? How did I change it? What did, etc., etc. And I've done none of that as a streamer. And I used to do it as a YouTuber, and I thought it was a unique thing. And why have I not seen that ultimately it's a unique thing still within the streaming space, potentially within certain aspects of it, because I haven't been doing it myself. And part of that has been, trying to figure out the data hub this week and trying to use that and figure out what that looks like for me. So there's another one, you see, it's all there. And it's, as a streamer, we've got to be doing these things, because otherwise, what are we actually doing? We're repeating the same old, and then complaining about the game when it doesn't do what we want it to do, basically.
Yeah.
And that can't be right.
No, absolutely. You watch us now. Our streams, any FMT affiliated stream is just going to be a Football Manager feature bingo. It's like, right, what have we done this week? We've done training, we've done data hub, we've done squad planner, we've done it all. We've done it all this week, and then we can feel really, really good about ourselves. And then 2.5 hours into our stream, we can play our first game.
Well, I was going to say on
Friday,
I did a summer transfer window stuff and didn't play a game, and it was the most lovely stream I've had in the last month and a half. I don't think I'm ever going to play a game ever again on the stream. It'll just be everything else that I do on the streams now. We'll just flip it.
Exactly. Spending 3 hours the other night doing a pre-season with Odds Bowel Club, just watching members of the chat. Shout out to regular viewer of Kev and myself, VIVA, who was there. Just bless him, offering his incredible insight into all the mistakes I was making with my transfer policy, which was quite wonderful. But the one thing I did notice is that, and it's something I've never really noticed before, and now I'm obsessed with it. When I set the save up, I think Odds Bowel Club we were 200 to 1 to win the league. So I think we were predicted to finish around 12th or 13th in the league. I then signed, spoiler alert, I don't know why it's a spoiler, it's out there publicly, it's on Twitter of all places. I then signed Morgan Gamps Pedersen on a free transfer just to appease former pod co-host and our friend Alice. Shout out Alice, we love you. Signed MGP just to keep Alice happy. Within 2 days, my odds had been slashed from 200 to 1 to 50 to 1. So hey, these are the things. I'm now obsessed with looking at the predictions pre-season, depending on who I've signed. And hey, training, data hub, squad planner, those things are only going to help. Surely they're going to help, because that's my new hyperfixation. I love it with an absolute passion. Spoiler alert, he fractured a rib in training after like one game. So it's just, I'm cursed. I cannot sign elderly players that I love without them just in some capacity, just hobbling themselves. It happened. Chris Brunt, FM21, brought him back to Hillsborough after his release from West Bromwich Albion. I was like, right, one more season. He's going to get us back to the Premier League with that magic left foot of his. Chris Brunt and Barry Bannon together in the middle of a midfield, all the passes, all the goals, all the set pieces, did his cruciate after playing 41 minutes of football for me, and then just retired on the spot. So I'm cursed. I can't do it. I absolutely can't do it, but I will continue to do it. Sorry, any player over 38 in world football. I'm gonna break you in some capacity. And as Cam said earlier, his training schedules can't account for things like broken legs or cruciates. So maybe I take it back. Maybe the whole thing's a massive waste of time. Who knows? Not me. Look at that. That was good. I feel like we've just, not only have we just had a really, really engaging conversation about training in Football Manager that's lasted nearly 40 minutes, I think we've all just grown as people as well. That was quite incredible. I feel like a better human being. I'm going to go home and be a better father and husband this afternoon as well.
If I come back next week and I'm crying in a corner because all of my players are upset and I don't know what I'm doing, we're going to have to pick me up again. But at the moment, it looks quite promising.
We'll bring in the
Doesn't it just,
football
though?
manager therapy side of things. Then, Kev.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
that's it's literally the name of the pod.
It is for a reason.
Speaking of crying in the corner, I think it would be remiss of us to not just very briefly touch upon the fact that last week we saw Kev, myself, and Jeb all sat down for the evening to load up the Football Manager Network save. Without Jeb here, I don't think it's really fair to go into huge amounts of detail as to what went on. I mean, from Jeb's point of view, he's just going to sit there and go, yeah, it's going really well. I'm winning loads and I'm still in Europe and I'm just really, really good at Football Manager. Although we did decide, as a collective, that it's not physically possible for all three of us to enjoy the game at the same time. We're just not allowed. Jeb is sat firmly in the enjoyment chair. And I think Kev and I, we kind of switched places a little bit this week because, spoiler alert, again, not a spoiler, it's there out publicly. We all know. Kev, you won some games, if I recall. You've done some wins.
That is the rumor, but I can't talk about it because it's a spoiler and we don't want to spoil the network game, do we? So, can't possibly divulge that sort of information. But yes, this is true. I did. My newly acquired Fulham side, who at the back end of the previous stream I got going with and struggled immensely with. I changed some tactical stuff, reset them in terms of how I was asking them to play, and we actually got off to a good start. In the first couple of games in the most recent stream, I got a couple of wins, draw, I think, something like that, and got going, basically. Looked as though there was some good players in and around. I got my slightly more pacey central defender back, and that made a difference to my back line and all that kind of good stuff. It didn't quite last all the way through the stream. At the back end of it, I played, I think, the likes of Liverpool, I think, was in there. I can't actually remember now. But I also played my former side, Brighton, at the very end of the stream as well. And I lost those last 2 games, something like that, 2 or 3 games, I think it was. And so we are still in and around 16th, 17th in the league, sitting just above that precipice of relegation. So it's still there. I've got to battle all the way through. Another spoiler alert for you. We're going to be back fairly soon, and we will finish off the season, I think, pretty much next time we go out and do the network game. So when that comes, we'll see whether I can survive. But it was better. It was better. There were glimmers of hope. There were glimpses that if I could make a couple of changes to this squad, if we survive in the Premier League over the summer, and just get rid of a couple of bits of deadwood and freshen the squad, I think we could do something, because there's a few players in there that are impactful. So yeah, it was much, much better for me. I'm not where Jeb is, but I might not quite be where Rich is after last stream. Where are you after last stream, Rich, in your feelings towards the network save?
Oh, see, you can tell from this, Kev is significantly more cheerful talking about the network save. I'm now not, as it turns out. I think it's stupid, and I wish we'd never started. The wheels have started to come off, as it turns out. I think I lulled myself into a false sense of security with this Leicester team. I really think I had, because we were challenging for Europe at one point, knocking on the door of Champions League. That fourth place in the Premier League is, well, at the start of the last network game was kind of between about 5 or 6 teams were all competing. They were all going to be there or thereabouts. I thought Leicester were one of them. I think I said last time we talked about it. I'm at the point where I would have been disappointed if I didn't finish in the European space. At the moment, I'm kind of battling for top half. It's just not happening. The players seem to have just it's really weird. I've got loads of players who've come back from injury, so I'm actually not facing, I've got options in terms of my 11, but the performances have just dropped off dramatically. The players seem to have just stopped caring. I think it's because the board is saying just top half finish, and I think because we were massively overachieving, the players have gone, oh, we're safe now, so let's just stop. We'll stop scoring goals. We'll stop defending properly, and we'll just kind of relax. We'll just let it happen over the next 10, 15 games. I'll be lucky I'd be very, very lucky to make the Europa Conference at this rate. My strikers have stopped scoring. My defenders have stopped defending. Jack Butland is still doing okay because he's Jack Butland and I love him. But apart from that, I think it's just going to be a bit of a trickle over the line rather than a romp. Let's put it that way. So as Kev says, we're probably going to finish the season next time of asking. Again, I have to admit, it's my own fault. I looked at my fixture list and I had a really, really horrible start to the last stream. I think I had the likes of Liverpool, I had the likes of Tottenham Hotspur. I think I drew with Liverpool, which I was quite happy with. And I thought, you know what, we've got a chance. And then there was a really nice, what I thought was a nice run of fixtures. Teams like Southampton, teams like Bournemouth. And I was like, these are winnable games. I said it publicly out loud. I think I'm going to pick up some points here.
Never say things.
Never say things. This is when you just want the narrator's voice in over the top. It's like the Rich didn't pick up any points in those games. Rich did really badly in those games. So that was a shame. But hey, I'm going to fight for Europe. I'm going to try and motivate the lads. Hey, maybe some changes to training will help. Who knows? Hopefully, next time you see us or next time we meet, we'll be talking about how well everybody's season's ended. Jeb made it to the Champions League. Kev stormed it and finished mid-table, and I have done something. I don't know.
Is anyone still in the FA Cup?
I'm not.
No, I think we have both now been knocked out. I think I have a feeling I made it past Newcastle, but then I think I've been knocked out since. So I'm just focusing on. I'm just focusing on the league.
I don't think I am anyway. I think I got knocked out last time.
Spoiler alert: Kev doesn't know. Kev's got no idea.
Jeb is going to be so confused next time around when he's saying, "Fellas, can we continue?" And Rich is saying, "No, I've just got to sort some training." And I'm going, "Yeah, I've just tweaking my data hub, Jeb. It's fine, mate, for 3 hours."
Who are these people? These aren't the people I started this save with. Fantastic. So yeah, hopefully next time you see us, we will be sat here talking about how well our seasons have finished.
We might as well do this live on pod, Rich. I mean, I don't know. Jed's not here. Are we doing this on Monday? Because I think I'm available to do so. I just don't think we've confirmed it. It's a bank holiday Monday and all that kind of stuff.
It is a bank holiday
here in the UK.
Monday.
So I don't know, but I might.
Who knows? Who knows? I need to confirm some of the finer points with my wonderful wife. So we'll leave it. We'll leave it as a cliffhanger. That's what we'll do. Hopefully, at the time of recording, if you're listening to this on the Patreon, which will be out tomorrow, if you're listening to the Patreon, you'll know on Monday. You'll know. But I'm going to leave it. Ooh, exciting. Who knows what's going to happen? Not me. That's why we're leaving it this way. I just honestly couldn't tell you. I just don't know. I thought.
Did you?
I didn't think this was actually suggested by Kev. This is entirely Kev's idea. We're coming to the end of this week's record. We're coming to the end. But I thought as a special treat, we'll bring back our lovely little trivia game that we used to finish records. We haven't done one for a little while. It's been a while. We haven't had some trivia, and we also haven't had a debate for a while. And Kev is itching for a debate because Kev wins debates all the time. So we'll see what we can sort out for the not too distant future. But this week, bit of football trivia. The way these work, one of us asks a question or some questions. It's going to be me this week. It's going to be one question, but I think it could take a couple of minutes. And then Kev and Callum are going to take it in turns to answer. And the first person who can't provide me with the correct answer loses. And
so 20 seconds then, not 2 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm really nervous.
I was the first time I played this on stream, and then I realised actually, if you lose, which I always do, it's fine. It's no problem.
It's fine. It really doesn't matter. I just don't want to
have no answers. That's the worst thing. You've just set up 2 minutes. I'm like, what if I have nothing?
Oh, but Callum, I made myself look as stupid as you can possibly look on the first one of these, and I'll tell you why.
I remember listening.
So ultimately, I'd spent the last 2 years getting my wife to be able to recite the managers of the Premier League clubs, and she was brilliant at it. And then the Premier League clubs came up, and I couldn't even tell you who they were myself.
Wasn't it Scott Parker that
it
got
was?
it?
I got
Yeah, I
Scott Parker,
remember.
and he'd left earlier in the season to go elsewhere,
Let
and I
down
don't
by
know
Scott
why.
Parker.
Yeah.
But
Just
it was
like
just
Club Brugge.
bizarre.
We've all been
And if I can make myself look that stupid on, because I watch the Premier League every weekend and I should know these things and I don't. It's fine. Welcome to the club, Callum.
Exactly. Hey, Kev couldn't remember the names of the managers. I was struggling to name Premier League teams. So pressure is a whole thing. But then flip side of that coin, I'm the world's biggest hypocrite because because of the algorithm of social media, I keep getting given these fake YouTube shorts of somebody just on the street asking people just football trivia questions. And it's like, name 3 African players that have played in the Premier League. And these people just like, where's Africa? Steven Gerrard. Oh, I've got it wrong. And I'm saying, like, you idiot, you absolute idiot. But I'm actually no better than any of them. So, but hey, I'm an arm. It's one of those things. It's always easier to sit in judgment of other people. Which is why
go
I like
for it,
being
Rich.
on the panel.
Judge away.
I
Bring
will
it
judge
on.
away. Right then, fellas. Today's
Rich,
question.
Before we start, could you name 3 African footballers that have played in the Premier League, please?
Solomon Kalou.
Yeah.
Solomon Kalou, and also Solomon Kalou.
He was that good. He was that good.
So good they named him thrice. Yeah. Solomon, Kalou. My favorite ever. The best one ever. Goes without saying. Right then, so today's question: name African. No, imagine if it was name African footballers that aren't Solomon Kalou. You can't because there aren't any. It's just him. No, we're going to go today. I'd like you to take it in turns to name past or present Premier League footballers who are Brazilian. There you go. Some Brazilian Premier League footballers. Kev, you've been here longest, so you can go first. You'll have to bear with me as I do some scrolling up and down. There's a list. The list isn't huge, but it's big enough, I think, to get us through this question. Kev, if you would like to provide me with the name of a past or present Brazilian Premier League footballer.
Yes, I believe I can do that in the first round of this. Let's
Wonderful.
go for the current goalkeeping sensation that is Alisson.
Alisson is correct. Callum.
I'm really scared to immediately get it wrong. I think the right back from Man United back in the day, Rafael, he was Brazilian, wasn't he?
He absolutely was, and still
thank
is.
Goodness. I was really worried that he was Portuguese. I don't know why. I don't know why I went. I've got other options.
Do you know the weird thing, Callum, is that not only is he Brazilian, but so is his twin brother Fabio.
See, I gave that. That's an open goal. I don't know why I gave that to you. Oh no. Richarlison.
Very Brazilian. Richarlison, is he a Premier League footballer? Who's to say? I scored the same amount of goals in the league as me so far this season, so good for him. But yes, Richarlison, we will accept. Kev.
Let's go. Other goalkeeping current sensation of Ederson from Man City.
100%. Owner of the worst neck tattoos in the world, but also a Premier League player.
Bernard. I'm going Everton there.
Oh, Bernard. Yes,
he is Brazilian.
Very, very Brazilian. Very Brazilian.
Well, I mean, if you're going to go Everton, then I'm going to go United and say Anderson.
Yep, that's another one. That's definitely another one.
I'm already running out.
I've got definitely one more, and I'm not sure about another one, but
I think this guy is Brazilian. The right back for Spurs, Emerson Royale. I think he's
incredibly very, very Brazilian.
Come on. I need another one now. Oh no.
I'm going to go right back in the day and say Juninho. Little Juninho from Middlesbrough.
Oh, no.
Very, very much so. Very, very much so. Read a really nice article about him this week where he was complaining about his time playing at Celtic, where they were like, yeah, we want you to start tracking back and defending on the wings. And he just went, no. No, I don't want to do that at all.
Oh, I think I've got one. Is it Giovanni who played for Hull?
Giovanni.
Yes.
Yes, the Manchester City and Hull City legend, Giovanni. What a shout that is.
Okay. Like that, is it, Callum? Okay. Another round.
I've got another one.
Janino's bestest buddy pal,
Mhm.
sort of. I don't know if they liked each other at all, but they played together at Middlesbrough, I believe. Is it Emerson? Did he play for Middlesbrough with Janino?
He did. He absolutely did. Yes, they were teammates.
I've thought of another one.
Oh, go on.
Plays for Fulham.
Mhm.
Played for Arsenal. Played for Chelsea. Willian.
Willian, the cheeky Brazilian, is 100% very, very much Brazilian.
Now
Struggling.
I'm really
Yeah.
struggling. Now I'm really struggling. Okay, let's think about this.
I've got another one.
Oh, he's got another one. No, that's not what I want to hear.
He's got one lined up as well. He's fronting now.
Oh, that's tricky. That's very tricksy.
Oh.
I'm going to wave the white flag because nothing's immediately coming to me, and I could sit here doing this for the next 5 minutes going, but yeah, nothing is coming to me, and I'm sure I'll have half a dozen when you read some of them out, possibly. But
go on then, Callum. Callum. Congratulations, Callum.
Thank you so much.
100% success record in this competition. Who was your next one? Just to put it out there.
My next one was Man City and Everton striker Joe.
Ah, yeah,
go.
Very good,
Joe.
Very good.
The international footballer that
I've just thought of another one.
A competition winner.
It just happens, doesn't it? It just happens.
Who's yours, Kev?
No, it's fine. I don't need to. I'll keep that to myself just in case I'm wrong. That's fine.
Gonna keep it to yourself for next time. Honestly, nice. I think there's a couple that Kev didn't go for that are currently in Man United starting 11 most weeks, which really surprised me.
Yeah, that was the one.
Yeah, was one of those that one? Okay,
yeah, one of them was.
Yeah, there you go. One of them was. There we go.
Now
there was
Fred.
Anthony was another one that I should have.
No, Fred. No, Anthony, Casemiro.
Yeah, Fred, Casemiro.
Oh my goodness.
There's loads of them. And I see, this is how embarrassing it is, Callum. These are my teams.
This is the thing, isn't it? There are loads.
And I'm sitting there thinking,
there's
just no more Brazilians that have played for United. What am I doing? Other than Anderson. Anderson is the only one.
Yeah. Damn it. Anderson, that must have been one of two more on the list. No, it's bonkers, isn't it? Like I'm looking at the list now. The list of current players isn't much bigger than the list of, former players. So, but it is hard. It is really, really. The fact that, honestly, the thing that really surprised me is the fact that players like Giovanni went before players like Casemiro. I was like, this is fantastic. That's exactly where my brain would go with it as well. So
again, though, the worst thing of all of this is later on, my wife is going to come home and she's going to say, "How did pod go?" And I say, "I lost another trivia question." She'll say, "What was the question?" I say, "Name Brazilians." I bet you can't even name any that in the Man United squad. And she'll reel all of those three off that I didn't name just because for the sake of it. And she doesn't even really follow football. It's so annoying.
Right. At some point, maybe, actually, you know what? Maybe as a treat. I'm just going to put it out there. Into the universe, and maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't. But one day we'll play this game. We'll do a Patreon record of this game, but we'll get Mrs. Kev in to replace Kev, and we'll see how it goes. Yes. Imagine that. Imagine the scenes. Fellas. That, if you ask me, I reckon that's a podcast. How do you both feel?
I agree, because I can't bear the shame anymore and I need to go and hide in a corner somewhere.
Look, hey, Callum's been here. Callum has done an excellent job this week of talking to us about the benefits of training in Football Manager. If you need somebody to sit there and talk you through shame, I'm the guy. Don't worry. I've got you. I've got your back, buddy. I'm here to help. Before we go this week, Callum, please take 2 minutes out of your day to tell the people where they can find you and your wonderful Slough saves and all the other stuff you do.
And my barking
excellent
dog
impression.
Your dog.
Yeah, I know. Thank you. So you can find me on Y Callum on everything. As I say, we're embarking on season 2 in League 2. And that will happen on Monday, I think. So yeah, absolutely. It's something that should hopefully we'll be looking for promotion this year. So it should be a little bit less mundane, which is probably not the best way of selling coming to watch me, but I promise you might laugh. I don't know. But yeah, come and see me. I'll stream at some point.
There you go. Less mundane. That's the benchmark, fellas. That's the benchmark this week. Kev, what about yourself? Where can the people find you making that wonderful content that you make?
So yeah, recently in this slot, we've been shouting other people out. I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to do the absolute reverse. I'm saying, come and hold me accountable to my training and my draft and my database hub stuff and all that kind of stuff. Please come and help me do that, because without you, I am but nothing. I am a bloke gibbering away to myself on a stream with no one to talk to. So come and do that. So I'm going to be live on Twitch every weekday afternoon this week, 3 till 5 p.m. UK time. Come and join us. Still in Hungary, still trying to make my way home. Can we make things better for ourselves by actually trying to play the game in all its intricacies? So come and do that. So you'll find me at the United City FM, both on Twitter and Twitch. Come and enjoy the madness that will probably ensue.
Wonderful, wonderful. And I very much like Kev. Please do come and hang out with me. Twitch.tv/Rich Owens FM. Hold me accountable to all the things that I've promised I will do on this week's record. Please, please do. Because if you don't, I'll feel like I've gotten away with it, and there's no excusing that behavior. Fellas, it's been a wonderful Sunday morning. I've wholeheartedly enjoyed this, as weirdly enough, I always do. It's been great fun. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. However you are consuming this podcast, we appreciate you enormously. If you're watching on YouTube, drop a little like, drop us a little comment. If you're not subscribed, click that subscribe button. Go on. You know you want to. Go on. Do it now. Do it now. We'll wait until you've done it. Okay, you've done it. We appreciate that. That's very, very kind of you. We will see you on the next episode of Football Manager Therapy. Take care. Love you lots. Bye-bye.